Hello. Today, I, Emanda Bisrat, along with Liam Starnes, Harper Schwab, and Osinachi Nwosu, will be presenting our palm oil grievances project, conducted as part of the University of Chicago's Data Science Clinic program. Our team partnered with the Data Science Institute along with Inclusive Development International to help expand PalmWatch, a data transparency tool aimed at identifying pressure points in the palm oil supply chain. To briefly introduce the mentors on our team, we worked with Lana Greer, a software engineer at the Data Science Institute, Jing Feng, a postdoc at the Data Science Institute, and Tim Hanifan, the assistant clinic director and RTA for this project. Delving into an overview of the broader context that shaped our work, palm oil is one of the most widely used vegetable oils, found in a vast range of food, cosmetics, and biofuels. However, its production has been linked to significant environmental damage as well as social issues like labor exploitation and human rights violations. To tackle these challenges, PalmWatch, a tool developed by DSI and IDI, provides detailed mapping of palm oil supply chains. By connecting consumer brands and their environmental and social footprints, PalmWatch provides ultimate transparency. This platform enables grassroots organizations and stakeholders to hold corporations accountable for their involvement in these practices. The project was developed to represent and advocate for the variety of social issues that arise from palm oil production. If we currently look at what's missing from the PalmWatch website, no human rights data has been incorporated into the tool. The main data currently focuses on deforestation grievances, so our project aims to expand PalmWatch by integrating human rights grievances. The main research question was what data patterns exist among human rights grievances in the palm oil industry. We also answered questions like what are the most common grievances, what types of organizations and companies are raising these grievances, and finally, how many grievances were submitted in each year.
A little bit about the importance of this project. By adding human rights grievance data to the PalmWatch tool, we are able to identify trends in human rights violations across an entire industry in the palm oil industry. Now, this industry is global. It is primarily based in Indonesia. However, you can find bits and pieces worldwide. This tool with human rights data provides a lot of transparency for NGOs and other advocacy organizations. And because the information will be publicly available on the website, it's not just the experts and organizations that will get access to this. People like you and me can go on the PalmWatch website and find what human rights violations are taking place all across the palm oil industry.
Moving on to project milestones, the first thing we did was to produce a standardized data model. This included locating, documenting, and evaluating grievance datasets. Next, we identified relevant fields to extract and mine from the dataset, and then map fields from each dataset to a common data model. After this, we developed an automated data pipeline. In this pipeline, we wrote web and or PDF scrapers to extract raw data from the dataset. We wrote scripts to clean and standardize the fake data in accordance to the model. And then we moved on to performing data analysis on produced CSV files. With the combined CSV file we gained, we performed an exploratory data analysis of the clean data to describe and visualize patterns and complaints over time, across locations, and across brands.
To start off, we just familiarized ourselves with the information that we had in each data set and try to look at things like what's the format of the data set, when is this from, what could it be used for. And after that, we had to make our data model for combining all of our data sets into one big one. And so to do that, we documented all the important variables in each data set. As you can see on the bottom of the slide, here's an example of one of the grievance tables that we had. You can see it has all this information about these grievances. So when we were creating our data model, We dropped some of the variables that are only present in like 1 or 2 out of the 12 data sets, but kept pretty much most of the other ones. And that includes a lot of variables that were missing in maybe like half of the data sets. So we just listed those as unknown. There are also some that did appear in pretty much all data sets. And as you can see, our data model has a wide variety of different types of variables. Some are more general, like location or date, whereas others are very specific to the nature of the grievance, such as grievance raised or grievance type.
Now, a little bit more specifics on the data extraction. Each organization had a unique structure for their human rights grievance data. However, they may be similar file types, such as PDF, HTML, or text. With that being said, that made us required to create a unique data scraper for each of these companies. For instance, like Cargill would have a scraper for a web table that would be entirely different than Hershey. That allowed us to then create a organized data pipeline that ensured that each of the data formats were very standard. And this coalesced pipeline output a data frame that was mostly clean. And this entire process was heavily aided by the data model that we established very early on in this project.
So here are some quick looks from combined data breadth. With a look at the first table, which is the top 10 complaints by grievances, we see that Mighty Earth has the most number of grievances reported. With a look at the second table, which notes the top 10 reported organizations by grievances, we see that the Nam Hijau group has the most number of grievances reported. From the data set, we were able to extract 1,125 total grievances, the most common grievance type being deforestation. Most of the grievances fall on these three categories: land and community rights, human and labor rights, and deforestation and environmental. The most common reported organization, out of the 138 unique locations in the data, the most common location was Indonesia. And the highest number of grievances was submitted in 2019 with 209 grievances.
Now, a little bit about the future of the PalmWatch app. By integrating the human rights data, currently there is a tooltip on the PalmWatch app that primarily has deforestation. We can easily add human rights data here for an intuitive way to investigate where human rights violations are taking place. Among this, by having intense location data, we can then look into which organizations are reporting the most human rights violations and provide contact recommendations for anybody that is wishing to report a human rights violation or know who on the ground is in the know. We can then have very direct connections to the brands causing the most issues across the palm oil industry that allows everybody to know which organizations are the most egregious when it comes to causing human rights violations.
To wrap things up, some next steps for future quarters include doing more data analysis, such as more granular location data, further summary statistics, or a time series analysis of the grievances. And additionally, future quarters can work on integrating our data into the PalmWatch web app, as well as adding more data sets to the pipeline to increase the sample size of grievances. And what these things do are they make it so that everyone can see this information, and increasing the sample size makes the conclusions that we come up with more accurate. So that's all. Thank you and goodbye.